Many people are exhausted not because of work, but because the mind never stops. Even in moments of rest, thoughts keep running. Questions repeat. Worries grow. And silence feels impossible. In a small village surrounded by quiet mountains, life moved slowly. Mornings arrived with soft light. Evenings settled gently over the fields. Nature offered calm everywhere, but calm never reached the heart of a young man who lived there. The young man was not facing hardship from the outside. Food was enough. Shelter was secure. Yet inside, peace felt distant. The mind stayed busy from the moment the eyes opened until sleep finally came, often too late. Thoughts of the past returned without invitation. Old mistakes replayed again and again. Words once spoken could not be taken back. Choices already made felt heavy. Regret whispered quietly, then loudly, filling empty moments. When the past grew quiet, the future took its turn. What if things went wrong? What if nothing changed? What if life stayed like this forever? These questions followed each step, turning small decisions into large worries. At night, the body rested, but the mind refused. Sleep came late and left early. Smiles felt rare. Joy felt forgotten. Even simple moments lost their color under constant thinking. From the outside, everything looked fine. From the inside, suffering grew silently. The young man tried to distract the mind, walking longer paths, staying busy, thinking harder. But effort only added more noise. The more control was forced, the louder the thoughts became. What no one could see was the real problem. The pain did not come from life itself. The pain came from living everywhere except the present moment. The mind was trapped between what had already happened and what had not yet arrived. A busy mind creates silent suffering. Peace is blocked by constant thought. The village stayed peaceful. The mountains stayed still. But inside the young man, a storm continued without rest. And slowly, a question began to form. One that would change the direction of everything. Is peace something to be found somewhere else? Or something already here, waiting beneath the noise? One evening, while sitting alone near the edge of the village, the young man overheard travelers speaking softly. They mentioned a distant place in the hills where a wise teacher lived. Long ago, that teacher had guided many people through troubled minds and restless hearts. Now, the teacher lived quietly, close to nature, away from noise and crowds. Hope stirred for the first time in a long while. The young man did not hesitate. If peace could not be found inside the village, perhaps it waited somewhere beyond the mountains. The next morning, a small bag was packed, and the journey began. The path was long and tiring. Dust covered shoes. Muscles ached. Nights were spent under open skies. Yet, strangely, the mind felt lighter while walking. Movement slowed thinking. Each step carried hope forward. After many days, the hills opened into a quiet clearing. A small house appeared, covered in green vines and surrounded by silence. On the porch sat an old teacher, eyes closed, breathing calm and steady. No hurry, no tension. The young man approached and spoke softly. The mind is restless. Peace cannot be found. Help is needed. The old teacher opened the eyes slowly and smiled, not surprised, not curious. No questions were asked. No advice was given. Instead, the old teacher stood up and said simply, "Come." In the yard, the teacher filled a glass with water until it reached the very edge. The surface trembled slightly, ready to spill at the smallest movement. The glass was placed carefully into the young man's hands. "Walk to the end of the village and return," the teacher said. "Do not spill even one drop." Confusion appeared, but trust followed. The young man began walking. The road was narrow and alive. People passed by. Voices called out. Children laughed. Animals moved suddenly across the path. Normally, each sound would pull the mind in different directions. But not this time. Eyes stayed on the glass. Steps slowed. Breathing deepened. Awareness sharpened. Every movement mattered. Every moment demanded presence. Time passed quietly. When the journey ended, the glass returned full and untouched. Not a single drop had fallen. The teacher nodded and asked calmly, "What was seen on the road?" The young man paused. "Nothing," came the honest answer. "No sounds. No people. Only the water." A gentle smile appeared. "That is peace," the teacher said. Peace was not given through words. Peace was not explained. Peace was experienced, born from awareness, from presence, from a mind anchored in the moment. And for the first time, Silence did not feel empty. It felt alive. The walk had been simple, yet something inside had changed. Standing there with the glass still full, the young man felt a calm unlike anything experienced before. There was no rush, no weight in the chest. The mind, usually loud and demanding, rested quietly. The old teacher spoke again, gently. During the walk, the teacher asked, were children heard laughing on the road? The young man shook the head. Were animals noticed? Voices calling? The sound of footsteps behind? Again, the answer came softly. No. And during that time, the teacher continued, was the past remembered? Was the future imagined? The young man paused, then realized the truth. There had been no regret, no worry, no questions, only the glass, only the step, only the breath. The teacher nodded. When the mind stays in the present moment, the teacher said, there is no space for unnecessary thought. Attention becomes whole. Awareness becomes steady. Anxiety loses its place. The young man listened carefully, feeling the meaning rather than analyzing it. This silence was always available, the teacher continued. It was not created today. It appears whenever attention returns to what is happening now. The road had been noisy. The world had been full of movement. Yet none of it entered the mind. Not because the world had changed, but because focus had. The lesson was clear. The present moment silences the mind. Awareness replaces anxiety. Peace had not arrived by pushing thoughts away. Peace had appeared when attention stopped feeding them. No effort. No control. Just presence. The young man realized something important. Searching for peace in the future creates more waiting. Fixing the past creates more regret. But being fully here leaves no room for either. For the first time, the young man understood what calm truly meant. Calm was not the absence of life. Calm was the absence of distraction. The glass of water had been only a mirror showing how the mind behaves when anchored to the moment. A mirror showing that silence is not found by escaping life, but by entering it fully. And in that stillness, a truth settled deeply. The mind does not need to be emptied. The mind needs to be present. As the sun began to set behind the hills, the old teacher spoke one final time. The voice was calm, but the meaning was deep. Peace is not something to be found somewhere else, the teacher said. Peace is something remembered when the mind returns home. The young man stood quietly, understanding now without effort. There was no need to control thoughts. No need to fight the mind. Thoughts would come and go as they always had. The difference was simple but powerful. Attention no longer followed them. Instead of chasing memories or worrying about what might happen next, awareness stayed with what was happening now. The sound of the wind, the feeling of the ground beneath the feet, the rhythm of breathing. In that space, the mind grew quiet on its own. The journey back felt different. The path was the same. The mountains were the same. But the inner world had changed. Silence no longer felt empty. Silence felt alive. The lesson was clear and gentle. A quiet mind creates a peaceful life. The present moment is the doorway to peace. This story is not only about one young man and a wise teacher. This story is about every person whose mind feels heavy, crowded, and tired. Peace does not arrive by solving every problem or answering every thought. Peace arrives when attention rests in the moment that is already here. Pause for a moment. Breathe. Notice where attention is now. What thought keeps disturbing the mind? Share that thought in the comments if it feels right. Like this story if it brought a sense of calm or clarity. And subscribe to Inspire English Stories to continue learning English through stories that heal, slow the mind, and gently guide attention back to the present. Because peace is not created by doing more. Peace is remembered by being here.